Hi everyone, Nicholas Pafidis here from sunny Cyprus and welcome to today's tutorial. Now before I say anything about the tutorial, I want to give a quick shout out to Jack and his students. I don't want to say his surname and I don't want to say any school names, but Jack and his students in Doha, you know who you are. Um, uh, I hear I've got a little bit of a fan base over there and I'm really looking forward to meeting you guys online at some point soon. So this tutorial dedicated to you guys. Right, so this tutorial is a March paper 2022, a paper 3. Now, I have had a look at this paper, and the reason I wanted to actually do this paper as a tutorial is because one of my students was actually struggling a little bit with it, quite rightly so, because it's a bit of a tricky paper. It doesn't require too much technical knowledge, but it does require you to take the time to think and analyze, especially the part in spreadsheets. Now, the other thing that I found interesting about this paper while I was reading through it a little bit was it incorporates quite a few of those newer skills in the syllabus, and it's got quite a few packed in into this one paper. So I found this a really good paper to do a tutorial on. So let's get cracking. Okay, so the first step is we're going to have a look at the question paper, go down to task 1, and here we basically, it tells us you've been supplied with these files, so we need to make sure we have these files stored locally on our disk. I've got them here inside the folder. I just called it March 2022 3.1. I've got all my files which I'm going to need stored here already. And we're going to go to task 1 now. Now, task 1 is basically creating the evidence document. So I need to create a word process document. I'm going to need to put my name, center number, and candidate number so it appears on every page. So I'm going to use the footer, the header. And then I need to make sure that I save my file name of my document like this, N22 evidence underscore center number, candidate number. So let's go and do that now. So I'm going to right click in my folder, new Word document. I'm going to call it M22 evidence. Remember to make sure you save everything small letters, capital letters as indicated. And then underscore again, my candidate number. So there we go, press enter. Enter again to open my Word document. Double click in the header. And enter my details in the header section. Now again, be very careful. If it tells you to put your details somewhere in particular, that's where you put them. So I'm going to double click again in the body, click on save. My document is now ready. So let's go back. Now let's look at number 2, file management. Right, we're going to create a new folder called M22 HTML. Locate the following files and store them in your M22 HTML folder. So we're going to put these files here. Display the contents of your M22 folder showing the folder name, all file names, the file extensions, file sizes, image dimensions, and for the video, the frame height and width. And then we're going to take a screenshot of this folder showing, making sure that all the required information is clearly visible. So let's go do that now. So first step is I'm going to go back to my folder, right click, new folder. I'm going to call this M22 underscore HTML. Okay, I'm just going to drag this over to the left a bit and drag this over here, just so that I can see the file names at the same time. I don't want that to snap in. There we go. So I'm just going to use the control button to do multiple selections. So M22 banner, M22 eagle, flag PNG, the lake MP4, that one, and the M22 style CSS and text. So I always suggest that you cut these, don't copy them, because then when you are going to attach these either to your web page or something, you might attach the wrong file from the wrong location. So I'm going to press Control X to cut, open my folder, Control V to paste. Okay, let's just move that back over here, question paper, and now we can continue. So now I need to take, so I've done that part, I've added those files. So now let's go over here. Now we can see in the details view, I can see things like the size, the type, but I've always said one of the best views is going to be the content view. So if I go to view and content, the good thing about this is automatically you can see for the video, the MP4 here, it also shows you the frame height and the frame width, which is something it's asking for. It gives you dimensions of images, the file types, and the file names. But if you did want to use the details view, you could also add this information. As I've said in the previous video, right click on one of these tabs at the top, go to more, and then from here, if I go down, I can add my dimensions. So if we go to D, there we go here, I've got dimensions. And I also can add the frame height and the frame width. So I'm going to go to F, and we should find here, there we go, frame height and frame width. Click OK, and look at that. I've now got the same thing with details. And you can add as many as you like of these. But for argument's sake, I'm just going to go to the easy one, content view. I'm going to take a quick screenshot. Make sure your screenshot involves the folder name at the top. Okay, so here's my screenshot, and the folder name is that one there, the one that we created. Go to my evidence document and paste. And you know what I'm going to say, guys? Please don't use dark mode. It doesn't print well. I've said this 100 times. So let's just go back, do a quick save here. And that part is finished. Let's go to our question paper. Task 3, web page. You're going to create a web page and style sheet about Lake. I'm not even going to try pronouncing that, in Kenya. The web page and style sheet must work in any browser. Make sure that your style sheet contains no HTML. Make your HTML style sheet as efficient as possible. Okay, so let's begin with create in your M22 folder a web page called naivasha.htm. As always, guys, please don't start working immediately. Read this whole section. Let's read the whole part of number 2. This page must be created using a single table and must work in all browsers. The table must be center aligned and fit 80% of the browser window. The table must have a structure as shown in this diagram. There you go. So we've got some widths and heights. So we're only going to modify those ones. Each table cell is identified with a letter. Some dimensions are shown. These must be set as percentage values. Do not set the height of cells B, C, D, or E. The cell content shown in the diagram must not appear on your final web page. Table borders must appear on the final web page. Okay, so I'm going to jump into that straight away. So let's go back. I'm going to start off by opening up Dreamweaver. Now, again, the first thing I'm going to do is to start a new file, new. I'm going to choose a HTML file, click on create. So I've created my HTML file, and the first thing that we do is we save this in the folder with all the other files before you do anything else. File save as. Okay, and here's my folder, and I'm going to save this as, again, Naivasha. And it's going to add the extension formula automatically. So I'm just going to click on save. And there we go. I've got my file name there. So it said that I need to make sure my table is 80% of the browser window. So let's just jump over to and see how many rows and columns we need. Now, one of the tricks I've told you in the past was we extend all the lines so we can make sure we know exactly how many rows and columns we need. Okay, and by extending, we cannot make a mistake. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4 rows, 1, 2 columns. All right. So let's just delete those lines. 4 rows, 2 columns. Let's jump over here. So click inside the body area if you're using Dreamweaver. I'm going to go to Insert, Table, 4 rows, 2 columns. It did say it said that the table has to be 80% of the browser window. So this is going to be 80. It's already there. I've got 80%. And it said that borders should be visible. So I'm just going to put that to 1. Now, it doesn't say what the borders should be. Most likely, it's going to ask us to modify the borders and the style of the borders in the style sheet. And when we attach the style sheet has precedence over any HTML code that we have. So click on OK, and there's my table. Now I'm just going to zoom this particular screen so it's actually easier for you to see. So I'll just move that screen and make that 125%. There we go. And that should be okay. There we go. So that should be all just a little bit bigger for you. Okay, next part, I need to make sure this table is center aligned. So with this table selected, I know it's selected because I can see right now it's not set. If I click on this long green line here, you can see on the left-hand side in the code, it selects the whole table. And over here, I'm just going to say align center. That's going to align it in the center of the page. And it's put the inline attribute here, width 80% for the table and the line center. All right, now we're going to change the width of this first cell. So I need to merge these cells together, and I need to merge these cells together to make it look the same. So here's my merge button down here. You can actually right-click table merge. So I'll do one like that as well. Okay, and if you're writing code, guys, on the left-hand side, I've got the code for you. You can use the row span and col span to do that. Okay, so this first one here, we want the width 100% and the height 20%. So my TD, I'm going to go inline attributes here. I'm going to write width equals to, and speech marks 100%. And outside speech marks, I'm going to put height equals to my speech marks 20%. Okay, and then in this one, in this cell here, it wants the width 65. So by selecting this, I can see my insertion point there. I'm going to do width equals to 65%. And then this one over here, width 35%. Okay, there we go. All right, so now I've actually created everything. Have a look. So I've put the dimensions, just do highlighting. I've done that, I've done that, done that. I've made my table, I've merged my cells. It is center aligned. The letters don't appear, the borders do appear. It's 80% of the window and it's center aligned. Okay, so that's all good. Now, set the title of the web page to that. I'm just going to copy that. So let's jump back. So in my code up here, whenever we create a new HTML document in Dreamweaver, it automatically puts the title tag for you inside the head section. So I'm just going to change that and put the title. I don't need that T there. Home page, just make sure it's correct. Set, let's go back. So we've done that part. Set the HTML, in the HTML, the name of the default target window to _self. So let's go back. Now, to do this, I need to put this in the head section. Now, from here, I'm just going to press enter. I'm going to open up my chevron. I'm going to put base space target equals, and I'm going to choose self from here. It adds it automatically. And there we go. Oops, sorry, close the chevron. So this is the command so that your base target is _self. And basically that says any links that you have in this web page, when you click on them to open another page, the name of that window is going to be _self unless you specify otherwise when you set up the hyperlink attributes. So if you don't specify a target window on that hyperlink, it will use this one here. Okay, so let's jump back over here. Right, place in cell A, the image N22 banner. B, a video tag to display this. It's not saying anything about widths or heights or 100% yet. Display an automated text error message if the browser does not support the video type. In C, the image M22 eagle. Let's just read on a bit more. Place inline style attributes in HTML so that each image fits the width of the table cell. with its aspect ratio maintained. That basically means I'm going to make everything 100% width. Doesn't say anything about the video. Add appropriate alternate text to both images. And then it goes on to add things in the. So up to here, up to number 7, I'm basically adding the images and the video, and I only need to modify the attributes of the images, not the video. So let's go back. So in this first one, it says I'm going to insert image, and I want the banner. Now, because everything's saved in the same place. Now, because I've read forward, I've read ahead, I'm just going to change everything from now. So I've added this picture. I'm going to go to here. I'm going to delete the height totally. Okay. And I'm going to change the width to 100%. Okay. And that's because I know I need to do this anyway. It just saves me time. There you go. It's automatically adjusted. Over here in B, I want the video. So for B, I'm going to insert a placeholder. So I'm going to go to insert HTML, HTML5, video. There's my placeholder. Automatically, it adds the controls as well. And I want to add the video. So I'm going to go down to my properties area, click on the source, click on the folder. There's my video. Double click on that. There it is. Okay. And I want the fallback text. It says here to display a text-based error message if the browser does not support this video type. So you can say here, your browser does not support the video type. Okay. And there you go. So if I click on that, there's my fallback text here, which comes after, well, before you actually close that video placeholder. Okay. Now, it doesn't say anything about the width of the video, so I'm not going to bother with it. I am going to attach here now the picture of the eagle. So insert image. We're going to add the eagle. Click OK. And I know this has to be 100% width. So again, I'm going to delete the height. The reason we delete the height, if you've forgotten, is when we modify one dimension, like I'm modifying only the width to 100%, then the other dimension, the height, will automatically adjust and maintain the aspect ratio. So I'm not locking the height. I'm only changing the width or the height. So in this case, I want the width because I want the picture to take the width of the cell. And I'm not going to modify the height because I don't want to change it. I want the aspect ratio to be maintained. So we're going to leave that there. And we're going to say, right, place inline style attributes to the pictures. So here I'm going to click on this one and I'm going to say Lake Naivasha, Kenya logo with a hippo. And this I'm going to say eagle perched on a branch. Now, guys, please don't just put one word, eagle or hippo or banner, because that really doesn't help the visually impaired. The whole idea of putting alternative text is if someone is visually impaired or blind and they have something which is a device which is reading the web page to them, when it comes to the pictures, it will read your alternative text. So you want to add something which will describe what that image is. Okay, so we've added the appropriate alternate text to both images. Place in cell D the text from this txt file. Set this as paragraph style. Then in 9, it says enter in cell E the text edited by followed by a space, your name, center number, and candidate number. Set this text as style H3. And then in number 10, create a hyperlink from the text. Click here, so just these two words, to open a web page with the URL this in a browser window called _blank. And then we're going to attach a style sheet. So let's move on to doing these 3 or 4 questions. So the first one is I want the M22 text. So I'm just going to open my folder. I'm going to open up M22, what is it? M22 text.txt. There it is, Control A, Control C. And I'm just going to close that. and then move over here. And I'm going to go, that's A, B, C. This is D. I'm going to paste everything in there. Okay, and set this as paragraph style. So I'm just going to select all of that. Now down here in the format, I'm going to put that as paragraph. Okay, and that just puts that P tag at the beginning of that text and then closes the P tag at the end of that text. Then it says enter in cell E. So that's A, B, C, D, E down here. Edited by colon, and then following a space, your name, okay, and set this as style H3. So again, format, heading 3. There's the code. So it actually puts the H3 tag around that text. And then create a hyperlink from the text. Click here. So I'm looking for click. Here it is. Click here. So I'm going to make that a hyperlink. So I'm just going to copy the hyperlink over. I'm just going to cheat a little bit here. Okay, I mean, please don't copy paste. Then come back over here. And I'm just going to go to my link down here, paste it. I can see I didn't get the H. And I got a little bit more. Nope, yep, I did there. I've got a space in the letter there. This is why you shouldn't really copy for PDF. Okay, so I've put my URL there, and it should open in a new browser window called underscore blank. So the target is going to be underscore blank. Now you could type it in, but underscore blank is a common one, so it is one of the options. Okay, I'm just going to do a quick save, file save. Good. All right, let's go back to our question paper. So it says here now, attach the style sheet m22styles.css to your web page, and then create a new one. So the first step, I'm just going to add this one. So there's a couple of ways that you can do this, guys. I always like using this one, class. I'm going to show you the other way in a second as well. Attach a style sheet, browse, and then from here, I'm going to choose M22 styles. Is that the correct one? Yes. And click OK. And look at that. It's giving me a background image, which is being repeated. I've got background colors. Okay, border colors. Quite a lot going on there. All right, let's go to our question page. So number 12, create a new style sheet so that the table is center aligned within the browser window. Now, we've already done this, but we've done this in the HTML code. That's great, but we also want to apply it in the style sheet. All cells have a padding. So the first one here is going to be using the table tag. The second one is the table cells have a padding set to 10 pixels. So that's going to be the TD tag. All table elements have spaces between the borders set to 10 pixels. So that's going to be the border spacing. That's part of the table tag. The top margin above the table is set to 173 pixels. And your name, center number, and candidate number are set as a comment. So let's go and do this now. Okay, so I'm going to go here, File, New. I'm going to start a new CSS. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to save it. Now, I haven't seen what I should save it as, so let's just jump over. Make sure that your style sheet contains no HTML scripting. Save this style sheet in your M22 folder in cascading style sheet as M22 styles 2 underscore followed by your center number underscore candidate number, for example, that. Attach this style sheet to your web page so that it is higher priority than the one attached in step 11. Okay, take a screenshot to show the file name and all contents of your style sheet and place this in your evidence document. All right, so let's start working with this style sheet. So first thing is I've seen now what this should be called. So file, save as. This is why I ask you to read ahead every time. M22 styles 2 underscore 1, 2, 3, 4. So I now know the name. Great. And now I'm going to start. So the first one is the table is center aligned with the browser window. So I'm just going to open up my window, open my CSS designer so I can see my designer, add a selector, and I want to add the table tag. So type that in, enter, enter, and that opens this. Now over here, especially in Dreamweaver, you want to be careful about this show set. If you don't see any properties, if you've got show set ticked, it basically shows you all the properties for this tag that you've applied. And I haven't applied any in the table, which is why I don't see anything. So you want to make sure that's removed. Okay, so the first thing is the table is center aligned. Now the center aligned of the table means the margin, the left and right margin. Now we know that our table is 80% of the window. So we want 10% on the left and 10% on the right. And the way to do this is we set the margins left and right. So I'm going to click here on my left one, I'm going to make it automatic. And I'm going to click on that one and make that one automatic as well. And by setting the left and right margin automatic, it will take whatever space is left over and split it to 2. Okay, all table cells have a padding set to 10 pixels. So that's my table. I've finished with that. I'm going to press enter. I'm going to go add another selector now, my TD selector. Enter, enter. And now I want to set the padding to 10 pixels. So over here, remember, you've got these things here as well. So you've got your layout. This is the layout section. You can jump quickly to the other sections. So this one here, this is my padding. I want to set all the padding. The table cells have padding set to 10 pixels. So I'm going to click on this middle one here. So I only change one of these values. So if I first just change the left one, for example, and change that to 10, and I click away, it's only added this one. But if I click on this, it's going to link all of them. So if I change that one to 10, can you see all of them now change to a particular value? And here is my padding. So all of my cells now will have a padding of 10 pixels. The next one, all table elements have the spaces between the borders set to 10 pixels. So this is the border spacing. Now the border spacing is determined by the table. Now I've got a tutorial, guys, on tables, which describes tables in HTML code. If you're not sure about border spacing, cell padding, border collapse, make sure you watch that tutorial. I'm going to put it as a link in the description. Okay, so for my table, I'm going to now come over here and I'm going to go to my design into my, not the borders, because I want to work with the borders. And if we look down, we've got here border collapse. Now I've got two options, collapse and separate. Now we said that when we collapse the borders, when I've got two cells next to each other, the border of this cell and the border of this cell are separate. And you have a little gap in between. But if we collapse those borders, we have one line separating the two cells. If I separate these borders, then we have two lines, one for this side of the cell and one for the other cell. So again, watch that tutorial if you need to. So I'm going to make sure that I put separate because I need to have a space in between the cells. So border collapse we set to separate. And then I want to set the spacing to 10. Now we've got two values. The first one is I think it's the horizontal, the vertical. You can play around. I think it's the horizontal space. So that's the distance between the cells horizontally. And the other number is the distance between the two cells vertically. So the cells on top, how much space they've got between them. So I just need to put that to 10. And again, put this to 10. And I've now got border spacing 10 pixels, 10 pixels. And when we attach this, we can actually play around and see which one's which. Then the top margin above the table is set to 173. Now we have already put the margins left and right to automatic, but now it also wants the top margin to have a 173 gap. So I'm just going to go to my layout, and up here where I've got my margins, I'm going to tick this one here and change that to 173 pixels. And that's going to give me a top margin of 173. Your name, center number, and candidate number are set as a comment at the end of the style sheet. Well, when you're using Dreamweaver, it gives you a comment at the top. It says CSS document. I can just take that, cut it, because you don't need it, put it at the bottom of the top at the end of the style sheet, paste it here, and just put my details here. So name, center number. and 1, 2, 3, 4. And essentially, guys, if you don't have that comment, you can just start a new style sheet and you will see that comment at the top. You can copy paste it, or just remember that it's slash star, enter your comment, and then star slash. What you want to be careful of, though, is if you open a slash star, you need to close it. Otherwise, all of this becomes text and it won't read it. Okay, so you have to close that comment whenever you open it at the top. And this is why it's dangerous to put your comment at the top. I think this is why CIE actually asks you to put the comment at the bottom. Okay, so I'm just going to save this, file save. And it said, well, I've saved it with the right name. Now it wants me to attach this style sheet to this web page, but I need it to be in higher priority than the previous one. So if I go to the top, I can see in my head section here, with the head section open and close it, here's my first style sheet. Now, cascading style sheets basically means cascading. It will start from the top and read downwards. It's the same with HTML code. HTML code, you can see here in my source code, I've got numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So each one of these lines will be executed in sequence. The first one, the second one, the third one, the fourth one, and so on and so forth. So essentially, what comes afterwards has priority. For example, in this style sheet, the first one that I put, if it says that heading 1 text should be red, and then I have another style sheet afterwards here, and it says heading 1 text should be blue, then it will be blue. Why? Because the first one says it's red, and then when it gets to the next line, it says it's blue. So the last command was the heading 1 text is blue. So that's how it works. So I need to add my other attached style sheet in this one here. Now, if I go to File menu at the top, I've also got Attach Style Sheet. So I like using the previous method, but you can also use the File method here. So File, Attach Style Sheet. I'm going to Browse, and I'm going to add my next style sheet, which is number 2, this one here, and click OK. So you just need to make sure that when you attach your style sheet, this one comes, this is the one that has priority. So it has to come after this one. Okay, and that's very, very important. So if I just click on save, file save, and save this as well, file save. So I've saved everything. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go have a quick look at my file. Now I have found, guys, when I'm actually doing this, and I'm going to preview, if I open this, there we go. Now let's see what we've got. So we have here. Now, can you see, again, this video, because we didn't set the width, it's really messing things up, and I really don't like that. Okay, but anyway, I am actually going to modify the width there so I can just make it a much better view. But let's see what we've got. We can see my table starts 173 pixels down. It's aligned to the center, so I've got equal margins left and right. Okay, and can you see here these green lines which separate the cells? This is my border border collapse separate, and there is a 10 pixel gap vertically and a 10 pixel gap horizontally. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to adjust this thing here. Oh, started playing. So I'm going to close this, and I don't like using refresh. Refresh does work when you make changes and then you refresh your page, but I have found that sometimes the CSS might not pull through straight away, so it's best to close it. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to click on this video here, the video controls. So here I'm going to do width equals to 100%. And now there you go. That's taking 100%. So let's see what this looks like now. So I'm just going to click on Control S to save, and I'm going to open this again. Ah, look at that. Doesn't that look better now? So when I change this, can you see now that my table is my video is actually changing together with my web page? Perfect. And look at that. And I can now take a screenshot to show absolutely everything because I've got my video 100% width of that cell. Isn't that perfect? So I'm just going to close that again. I'm just going to demonstrate to you very quickly now in the style sheet, this one here, the border spacing. I'm going to change one of these from 10 to 50. So the first number, let's see what that is. Is it the horizontal? So Control S to save. Again, I'm going to double click on this to open it. Right, and we can see the first number is that horizontal spacing. You can see that my cells have got a 50 pixel gap from the table, but the vertical gap here is only 10. So let's just take that back. So we know that first number is actually the horizontal value. Okay, we'll change that back to 10. And I want to see if refresh will actually work now. File save. So if I open this and now refresh straight away, well, it has. Can you see? It's put it back. But again, sometimes it may not, and you may be thinking that things don't work. So your best bet is close the browser and open it again. All right, so I think spent a bit of time on that. Let's move on. So the next thing is take a screenshot to show the file name and all contents of your style sheet and place this in your evidence document. Make sure the file name and all contents are clearly visible. All right, so take a screenshot to show the file name and all contents of your style sheet. So I want a screenshot of my style sheet. So here's a good screenshot here. So this is the file name. I'm just going to take a screenshot of this, new, and I'm going to take a screenshot like that. It shows the file name and that, and I add this in my. Now, guys, you should put actually the question. So this is evidence. Let me just do this. EV2. I'm not going to write evidence 2. I'm just going to write EV2. And I'm just going to make that a bit smaller because that's a little bit big. Don't make it too small. It has to be easy. It has to be read easily. And then let's go back. Then save your web page. Take a copy of your HTML source code and place this in your evidence document. So I'm going to go to my source code. Here's my source code here of my web page. So I'm going to click in here, Control A to select everything. Right click, copy. I'm going to go to my Word document. I'm just going to go down, start this on the next page. EV3, paste. Now, your ICT students, so you can actually select all of this and change the paragraph so that there's no space after or no space before. And that fits everything on one page. Perfect. Now I'm going to move down. Good. I'm going to call this EV4, ready for the next one. Okay, so what does it say here? Display your web page in the browser. If necessary, resize it so that all the page can be seen, all text can be easily read. The address bar is visible. Take a screenshot evidence showing your web page in the browser. Place this in your evidence document. Let's jump over here. So I'm going to open up my web page. Now, I know mine works because I've already tested it. Now, here's the trick, guys. Because I've got everything adjusting to the width automatically of its container of the cell, as I make the width of my window narrower, all of the contents becomes narrower. The narrower it becomes, because the aspect ratios are maintained, they become shorter. And I can very easily now fit my whole web page. Look, that's too big. My whole web page like this. So it displays all of the contents. And now it's showing everything. It's showing the gap at the top, 173, left and right margins, my lines here with the border spacing, and everything is perfect. So I'm just going to take a screenshot, and you make sure, guys, you're taking the screenshot of everything like this. You need to make sure that the address bar at the top is visible. Make sure they can see it's a browser window. And we're going to attach this as evidence 4. There it is. Okay, go back to our question paper. And we're now on the spreadsheet. Okay, so the spreadsheet here, it says you're going to create a spreadsheet to display data about lakes of the Great Rift Valley in Africa. Some of these lakes can be found in more than one country. Open the file. Now, again, I'm going to read quite a few of these questions ahead so I can get a good understanding of what I'm going to be doing. So open the file m22lake.csv in the spreadsheet package. Save this as a spreadsheet with a file name, country underscore, followed by your center number, candidate number. Okay, we're going to delete row 1, delete columns A, B, D, E, F, right, A, B, D, E, F, G, so not C. Remove all duplicate data, that's new, from your spreadsheet, and then place on the left in the header the text created by, then a space, then your name, center number, candidate number, place on the right in the header the automated file name with the file path. Okay, we're not really doing much here, are we? Sort your spreadsheet into ascending order. Set your spreadsheet to display grid lines and row and column headings when printed. Save your spreadsheet, take a screenshot. Okay, and this is going to be something here. All right, so yeah, let's begin with that. It looks like this is just very basic, this first part. So we're going to jump over here. I'm going to open up m22lake.csv. And then the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to save this. So I'm going to go to File, Save As. Open that. It says save this spreadsheet country. So I'm going to save this. First of all, I need to make sure it's saved as a Excel workbook. I'm going to call this country underscore followed by center number, candidate number underscore candidate number. So like that, press enter. So that's saved. Now delete row 1. So select that, click on row 1, right click, delete. Then delete columns A, B, D, E, F, G. So A, B, not C. I'm holding the control button now. So you can do this in separate ones, but I'm going to hold the control button. D, E, F, G. So I'm basically deleting everything except one column. Right click, delete. So I've only got one column left. Okay, interesting. Then it says remove all duplicate data from your spreadsheet. Okay, there's a number of ways that you can do this. If you can't remember, then the easiest way is, just go through these one by one and just delete and make sure you leave the unique ones. But the best way and the correct way to do it is to select your data like this. And then if you go into the data ribbon, you've actually got this one here where the conditional, well, not the conditional formatting, your validation rules are remove duplicates. Now I've got my screen zoomed in, so it's showing the small icon. So if I do this, if I stretch this out, so depending on how, there you go, it's actually remove duplicates is here. Okay, so I won't cancel that. So I'm just going to maximize it. So with my data here selected, I'm going to go here, click on remove duplicates. Yes, column A, because I don't have a heading. And there we go, 25 duplicate values removed. So these now are the unique ones. So if I just undo, so we had like Kenya here 4 times, and then we had Ethiopia down here how many times? So remove duplicates removes all the duplicates and only leaves the unique values. Great. Now, I've done that. It then said place on the left in the header. So I want to go to the header section. I'm going to go to view. I'm going to go to my page layout. So here's my header. I'm going to click on the left. Created by that, and then the space. Yep. Your name, center number, candidate number. Okay. And then place on the right in the header the automated file name without the file path. Okay, so I'm going to go to the right section over here. And then while I'm in the header and footer ribbon at the top, I can put my file name. Now, if I choose the file path, this is a mistake I made in a previous video. I wanted the file name and the file path, and I added both of them. I was called out on that, so well done, guys. If you put the file path, it will put the path and the file name. But this time it just wants the file name. So I'm just going to click on that. If you wanted the file name and the file path, you only need to add file path. Okay, so it says here, place on the right in the header the automated file name without the path. Okay. So then sort your spreadsheet into ascending order. So I need to come out of the header and footer section. So I can go back to view. Let's just click inside here and go to normal. Now I'm going to select this. I'm going to go to data. I'm going to go to sort. It's going to sort column A from A to Z. Okay, in ascending order. So click OK. There we go. Set your spreadsheet to display grid lines and row and column headings when printed. So I'm just going to choose that. And I'm going to add my grid lines. I'm going to go to the home and just add my grid lines like that. So if I just expand that, there you go. so everything's nice and clear. Grid line, row and column headings, save your spreadsheet, take a screenshot. Set your row and column headings when printed, so we'll do that when we're going to print. Save your spreadsheet, take a screenshot to show the print preview of your spreadsheet. Oh, isn't that interesting? Have a look at this. So it actually wants you to do this. Set your spreadsheet to display grid lines, row, column headings when printed. Okay. So we need to go to the print, save your spreadsheet, and then take a screenshot to show the print preview. All right. And it should show the header is fully visible. The grid lines are displayed. Row and column headings are displayed. All data fits within the columns width and is fully visible. Okay. So I'm just going to go do that. Now I'm going to go to File, Print. I'm going to modify. I'm using the PDF printer, doesn't matter. Go to the page setup, and I'm going to go to the sheet and make sure that the row and column headings are visible. And basically, that's what they want. They want a screenshot of this. They don't want you to print it. They just want a screenshot. So I've got my details at the top, my header. I've got row and column headings, unique values. They just want a screenshot of that. So here we go. Add a screenshot of my print preview. Does it say anything else? Take a screenshot to show the print preview of your spreadsheet. Make sure that. All right, there we go. That's good enough. Go to here. And I'm just going to go to, I'm going to call this, have I got enough space? Yeah. EV5. I'm going to paste that there. That's a bit tight, so I'm just going to bring that down to the next page. Since it's starting, there we go. This one's going to be EV6. Okay, let's go back to our question paper. So we finished with that one. Now we're going looking at this number 20, and it actually says open and examine the files m22 grid.csv and m22 lake.csv. These files will be used but must not be edited. Create and format a new spreadsheet so that it looks like this. So I'm going to create a new one. Make sure cells B1 to G1 and C3 to G3 are merged. Save this spreadsheet with the file name finder underscore followed by your center number and candidate number like this. So before I even go to review these, I'm going to go and just create a spreadsheet and give it the right name. So let's go do that. So minimize that. I finished with this one, so I could just close that one now. Save on that. That's already saved. File save. And close that. So I don't need that anymore. And now I'm just going to go to right click, new space, new Excel worksheet or workbook worksheet. And I'm going to call this finder underscore CY127 underscore 1234. Okay. And I'm going to create the document. I'm going to create it because, I mean, there's not really much point going and analyzing the data and then go create my document. I might as well just go create this first. All right, so I'm going to, I always mess up something here, don't I? You guys are always quick on the draw to call me out on it. So anyway, I'm just going to put this like this. I'm going to take a screenshot of what it should look like. And let's see if this time I can do this without messing this up. So I'm just going to put this here on the right, just like there, so I can see what it is that I have to do. All right, so let's begin. Now, again, guys, if you want to move forward and fast forward on this, you can, but I'm just going to go through the whole steps because I like creating complete tutorials. So here we go. So the first part is I've got from B1 all the way to G1 here, and it actually says make sure cells B1 to G1, C3 to G3 are merged. So B1 to G1, I'm going to merge those cells. Now, the problem with me doing it this way is essentially that it's going to be harder for me to find everything that I want to find. So like things like merge and this, that, the other is going to be actually a little bit more difficult for me. So hopefully, there it is. There's the merge button. Because when you zoom out and you squash things up, you actually lose some of the details in the ribbon. Okay, so that's been merged. That's the first one. Now I'm going to make this size a bit bigger. Okay, and that's I'm going to write lake finder by country, lake. Okay, I'm going to select that there. I'm going to make the background color black, the writing white. I'm going to make it a lot larger. Does it say? No, it doesn't. So I'm just going to make my writing quite a bit larger. I'm going to align it vertically and horizontally, and I'm going to make it bold. Okay, so that's B1 to G1. Now, again, the width of my columns, we haven't adjusted those yet, so I'm just going to leave that there. Now, my next one that I can see here, without zooming in too much, is row number 2 is squashed. So that just gives me just the bottom part of number 2. Okay, number 3, I've got in B1 country, sorry, B3 country, and that's black background, white writing, and I can see it's aligned to the right, so we're going to do that. And then next to that, I've got Ethiopia, and this is where it actually said C3 to G3, so C3 to G3 is merged, and here it says Ethiopia, and it wants that aligned to the left. Okay, number 4, row number 4 again is a little bit squashed, like that. Now I'm going to go to row number 5, and I'm going to put in here code, capital first letter, name, area, space, brackets, KM2, close brackets, elevation, space, brackets, M, close brackets, depth, space, brackets, max, close brackets, and then it's got water. Okay, so I'm just going to double click. I'm just going to expand these, just double click between the two so it shows everything. So I basically select my columns and double click between two columns. That will automatically adjust everything. It's not the final yet. I'm just having a look. Now I've got the numbers 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way down to 10 in column A, and that goes there. So I'm just going to put the number 2, and then I'm going to drag that down. I'm holding the control button now because when you use the control button, it will increment. If I don't hold the control button, it just repeats the number 2. So the other way of doing this, you can actually put 2, 3, select both of them, and now it will see the pattern. You can go up to number 10. So it's up to you how you do it. This is just the width of the numbers, and the numbers are right aligned. So, and they are bold. And then everything from code down to number 10 here has got borders. Country and Ethiopia, it has a border. Okay, what else do we have? I don't see any other borders of interest. Are they borders there? No, I don't think so. Those ones are grey. These ones in 2 are grey. Okay, so that looks pretty much okay. Um, uh, do I dare say it? No, I don't dare yet. Now we can see the spacing here. These are all center aligned. So I'm just going to select these, make these center aligned vertically and horizontally. And I'm also going to change the width of my cells to represent a little bit of what I've got there. So name has got about that much space. That one, elevation M, depth max about that, and then water around about that. So I've just given it just about enough space. And now that kind of makes sense. If you look at my lake finder by country, it starts from round about the middle of C all the way towards the end of F. And that's what I've got here now. So yeah, round about that looks okay. Right, I'm going to dare to say I'm finished with this. I don't want to waste too much time. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Things are center aligned. Country, black background, white writing, Ethiopia. Right, left aligned, late finder. My number one looks a bit too big, so I'm just going to make sure that's just a bit smaller. There we go. I think fine. Guys, again, if I have missed something, call me out on it. That's absolutely fine. I won't hold any grudges. Okay, so that's I'm going to do a quick save. So file save. And let's maximize that. So let's go back to our question paper. Okay, so now we're going to go and examine these files here. We've got everything we need to have. So I want M22 grid and M22 lake. So let's jump back and have a look at these files. So I'm just going to go and open these up. So these are here, M22 grid. Aha. Okay. Let's open up M22 lake as well. Okay. Now the headings are a bit chopped off, so I'm just going to modify these a little bit like that. There you go. Okay, now this one makes a bit more sense. We've got things like name, country, area, elevation, depth, max, and that's in line with what we've got here: name, area, elevation, depth, max. But looking at these, we can see all of these are dependent upon these code here, the code column. But we don't have in our one any codes. So we would have to have a code here for it to go and find this information here. Now, looking at this table, we can see these codes. And these codes are dependent upon the country. So, all right, so this is basically Ethiopia, and these are the lakes which are found in Ethiopia. So we've got all these lakes. If we go to Zambia, for example, there's only one lake. That's its code. This is why it's important to read the scenario that it gives you. Okay, so we're going to need to find. All right, that makes a little bit more sense. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to my one, and now we're going to look at the question paper. Okay, so I've looked at these two files. I have generated this spreadsheet. Let's see what it tells us to do. Place a formula in cell B6 that can be replicated down to B14. The formula must look up the code for each lake using the country stored in cell C3. Okay, and the external file m22 grid.csv for the array. Make sure that within each formula, if there is no lake code, no error message or data is displayed in the cell. All right, so let's jump back over here. Let's have a look and see what it's telling us to do. So in B14, let's just zoom that in. In B6, so here, I want to find the code and I want to be able to write the formula that's going to return the code, and then I'm able to replicate the code, replicate that formula down to here, using the information which is in cell C3 in here. So that's basically what we looked at. All right, and using M22 grid. So I want to find the lake code for Ethiopia using my M22 grid. So if I was to use this here for a lookup table, I will do a vertical lookup looking downwards in the first column this way. So that's going to be a VLOOKUP. When it finds my country in C3, in other words, in Ethiopia, I want to return the value in one of these columns. So if I want to return all the lakes, this is the value in column 2, column 3, column 4, because if this is my table, this one here, column 1 is my lookup column. Column 2 is this one, column 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Look at this. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I can use these here. Correct? All right, have a look at this question paper. So at the end of that, it says hint. I didn't see that. You may use the contents of column A to help you. Do you see why we have to read the whole section first. It was a beautiful hint there for us. Replicate your formula from B6 to B14, hide column A. All right, let's go back. So now that makes sense. So let's begin. I'm going to click in here. I'm going to write equals to, and I'm going to start a VLOOKUP. I'm not going to bother about the error messages yet. I just want to get a lake code. VLOOKUP function, open brackets. So the first thing I want to look up is the item I want to find. What's inside C3, comma. Now, C3, all right, I'm gonna worry about that in a second. Now, the table array is going to be my M22 grid. So I'm going to select this for my table, okay, comma. Now, here's the tricky one. Let me go back. Which column are we going to get the answer from? Well, for the first leg, I want to get the answer from column 2 because this is 1, 2, column 2. So here, instead of me writing the number 2, because if I was to write the number 2 and then put false because I want an exact match, check this out. That gives me the late code. But now when I copy this down, what's happening? Let's have a look. If I click on this one and see what's happening, first of all, C3 has moved down. I don't want it to move down, so let's go fix that. I'm going to build this up slowly so you can understand how you should be working with something like this. So I'm going to click on C3, press F4 to make it an absolute reference. Press Enter. Let's copy this down now again. And look at this. It's giving me the same late code again and again and again and again. Why? Because if I look at what this is doing, it's saying, look up the value of C3, here's my table array, and get the answer from column number 2 again. And that means it's always going to be returning that value there, because this is my table. It finds Ethiopia here, and it gets the value from here. But as I go down, I want it to get the next one, the next one, the next one, the next one. So to do that, instead of telling it what number column to use, here, I'm going to delete that. And I'm going to say, get the number for the column from here, which is 2. That's a smart little question. And now when I copy this down, look at that. So if I use this one, can you see it's using column 8? There it is, whatever's inside A12. All right, so that works, but it's not going to return an error message. It's going to give me an error message if it is blank. And basically what that means is if I was to put, for example, search Burundi. So if I was to change this now to C3 to Burundi, and I always suggest you do this, change the value test. Can you see here where it's only got 2 legs, here it's giving me zeros, and it said it shouldn't return anything and no error messages. So with Burundi there, I'm going to modify my formula, and I'm going to do this, equals to, let's just click in here because it's easier to see. There we go. Equals. I'm going to put an if function here, and I'm going to say if this VLOOKUP here equals to 0. Now 0 basically means if it's false, if it gives an error message, if it doesn't give you something to return, then I want to display nothing. Speech marks, speech marks. Otherwise, if it's not false, I want to return the whole VLOOKUP. Control C, Control V, and close the brackets. Okay, so if I press enter now, oh, I've entered too many arguments. What have I done? All right, so if function, if VLOOKUP that equals 0, that, oh, I want V here. I forgot the V there, and now I can press enter. There you go. Now when I copy this down, if it's not returning anything, it gives me nothing. Voila, works perfect. All right, is there anything else that I need to do? Well, I've copied this down. It works. Let's go have a look because I don't want to make any mistakes this time. Right, so I've done that. Enter. No error message or data is displayed in the cell. Hint, you may use the contents of column A to help you. Replicate the formula. Hide column A. Okay, So I'm just going to right click on column A. I'm going to choose hide. Good. There we go. So, and I'm going to change this back now to Ethiopia. All right. That works like a charm. Excellent. All right. So let's go on to the next. I'm just going to do a quick save. I'll save. And now I'm going to go back to question paper. Okay. Now, place formula in cells C6 to G14. Okay. To look up the name, area, elevation, depth, and type of water using the lake code in column B for the value and the external file m22lake.csv for the array. Let's read all of it this time. Make sure that within each formula, if there is no lake code, no error message or data is displayed in each cell. So from C6 to G14. Let's go back and have a look. So from C6 here to G14. So basically, I want to go and fill in all this data for each lake, if it has a lake. And let's say where I had Burundi, where there are no lakes here, it should have no data here. So let's do that now. So this is going to be a basic VLOOKUP, I think. So let's have a look. Equals to, I'm going to start with the basic part first. VLOOKUP. Open brackets. I'm going to look up the code, comma. I'm not going to use an absolute reference here because later I want to copy this formula down, which means I want the B6 to go to B7, B8, B9. So I'm going to leave that as a relative reference. I'm going to go to my table M22 Lake, and I'm going to choose all of this. So that's my table array. Now I'm going to use a VLOOKUP. I can use a VLOOKUP because the lookup column is in column 1, comma. Let's go back. And the first one that I want to return is the, what is it? I'm going to look at question paper. The question paper, that is the name. So the name is in column 1, 2, column 2. So column 2, comma, false, because I only want an exact match, and press enter. Now, that's okay. I'm not going to copy anything over yet. I'm going to do these ones. So I just want to make sure if this is empty, this should be blank. So I'm just going to do a quick test by deleting this and then just doing my undo. So if I delete that, I get an error there. So that's no good. So I now need to modify this and say, if this one here is empty, so if we do Burundi, for example, Burundi. Okay, so if I was to put my formula here, this is empty. And if this is empty, I want this to be empty. So the easiest way to do this is to put a simple if function and check if this cell here has got something inside. So let's take that back to Ethiopia. I'm going to modify this now. And I'm going to click here and put, oh, go away, equals to if, open brackets. And I'm going to if what's inside this cell equals to blank, so just speech marks, comma, blank, comma. So if what's inside here is nothing, then place nothing. Otherwise, put the result of the VLOOKUP. I'll just close my brackets and enter that. Now, if I copy this down, that works. Let's just show that. If I was to delete one of these, I get nothing. Perfect. That works like a charm. All right, so I now need to do exactly the same thing for this one, this one, this one, and this one. So the only thing that's going to change when I'm going to be putting the same formula, exactly the same formula in these ones, is going to be the column that we're returning a value. So for area, I want column 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this code here, the first one, copy it, Control C, press escape, double click in here and paste it, and I'm just going to change that to 4. There's the area. I'm going to double click in here, paste that. I'm going to put that to 5. So that should be the elevation. Let me just do a quick check because I don't want to make a mistake. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Depth is 6 and water is 7. So that carries on. I'm just going to put that one in there. Depth is 6 and water is 7. Now I can take these and copy them down. Now I'm just doing it the quick way, but that's fine. So shall I test this? Let's put this back to Burundi now. And look at that. Burundi has only got 2 lakes. There are the codes. And these are the details for the name, area, elevation, depth, and water. And these ones are all blank. No error messages, nothing in there. What I am going to do, though, is I'm just going to double click to make sure everything fits in there nicely. There we go. Perfect. And change that back to Ethiopia. Actually, I'm just going to undo all that and undo back to Ethiopia. There we go. Right, that was, okay, quite a bit of copy pasting, but it's only really 2 VLOOKUPs with an error check with if functions. So let's go back to our question paper. So make sure that within each formula there is no late code. If there is no late code, we've done that. Right, place your name, center number, and candidate number left aligned in the header. And then print. Well, it looks like we've done. Okay, so let's just go and do that now. So view, go to my view, go to my page layout, left aligned. Okay, left aligned in the header. Print your spreadsheet showing the formulae. All right, so I'm just going to click outside the header section, go to view normal. Now I'm going to go and do this. Let's have a look. So what it says is, print showing the formula, make sure that it's in landscape. Row and column headings are displayed. The contents of all cells except column A are fully visible. Okay, so I've already hidden A. So I'm just going to go from here, File. Let's just make sure everything is displayed. Good. So first thing is I'm going to display the formulas. I'm just going to go from here, Formulae, Show Formulas. And the next step, I'm just going to zoom out here. I'm going to select all of these columns and I'm going to double click between 2 of them to make sure the contents of all of them are fully visible. Okay, nothing is chopped off. Now I'm going to go to File, Print. It doesn't say it has to be on one page. So I'm going to put this in a landscape orientation. There we go. Row and column headings are displayed. So I'm just going to go to Page Setup, Sheet, Row and column headings, click OK. And the contents of all cells except column A are visible. So if I go back to the first one, you can see column A is not visible. It starts from B. And I can see here I've got 4 pages showing everything. So I would print that. I'm just going to print that now as a PDF. And I'm just going to put this in the right place, hopefully. I'm just going to print that there. So this is going to be XP1, Excel printout 1. I'll just call it that. You will print it on a page. Okay, so let's jump over here. So now we've done that printout. Enter in cell C3 the text Kenya, save your spreadsheet, print the spreadsheet showing the values, make sure that the print outfits on a single page. Contents of only B1 to G14 are fully visible. Row and column headings are not displayed. Okay, so we're going to go back. We're going to remove the formulas. And by doing so, everything is messed up. So I'm just going to double click between 2 columns. So everything is displayed like that. And I want from B1 to G14, that's B1 to G14, perfect. And single page, so File, Print. I don't want the column headings, so no row or column headings. And I would print that one, but not yet. Aha, I nearly made a mistake. Go back. I need to change this to Kenya. Kenya, correct. Now, when I click here, look, there's my D. Now, can you see here? That's chopped off. So I'm just going to select these and double click between the 2 columns again. Make sure everything displays. Now I'm going to go to file print. Everything is there, no row or column headings, and I'm just going to print that. I'm just going to call that P2, EX1, P, Excel printout 2. Just do a quick save. Okay, go back to my question paper. So I've done that one. I hope I haven't done any mistakes. Enter into cell C3, Tanzania. Okay, save your spreadsheet, prints on a single page wide. That not displayed. Okay, and then, so I just want to change it. So this is probably going to have some gaps in it, probably. Tanzania. And now if I press enter, yes, there you go. That's what they're looking for now, this one, aren't they? So file print, Control P. Again, that's all perfect. As all, did it say in portrait? No, print fits on a single page. So I left this as landscape, but that's fine. It didn't say it had to be portrait. If it did say portrait, make sure it's portrait. But that don't count that as a mistake because it doesn't say as portrait. So I'm just going to print that. That's 3. Okay. And do I have anything else? Okay. Enter. So, oh my God, I'm going to do Burundi. Oh, Burundi. So now it wants another one. Burundi. Okay. Same thing. Print spreadsheet showing the values. Make sure printout fits on a single page. Headings not displayed. This is just doing the same thing again, guys. So Burundi. Make sure you're typing the countries with the first capital letter, whatever it says. Put that in there. And now we're going to do Control P. Oops. Opened up my other file. Go there. Hey, where am I? There. Control P. And print that. And that's going to be P4. Okay. Let's go back. Printing the evidence document. That's it. So all I have to do now is jump over here and print this evidence document here. So there was no evidence 6. And I will just print that, file print. I'm just going to do this just so it's complete. File print. I'm going to save that as a PDF, print. And just put this now on my desktop. I can find my desktop. There it is there. I'm just going to call that evidence. Print. Wow, now can you see how that paper was just a little bit more difficult? There's all my printouts. And I think you also on that paper, a little bit long-winded. There's a lot of little details you need to be very careful of. The error messages for the spreadsheets, that VLOOKUP, first of all, using the VLOOKUP to find the code and then using the code to do the other VLOOKUP. Your web page design had quite a bit of detail in there, especially with the style sheet and the tables, the border collapse separate, the space at the top. There was quite a bit of detail there. So, yeah, if you learned something new, you know the drill as always. If you like this video, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next tutorial. Take care. Bye-bye.